Thank you very much, Sue, for the introduction. SOS versus Classic for Protoss versus Protoss of the ages. Both players have been on fire in this group and are currently undefeated. Roddy, what's your take on this one?
Then it's going to be freaking awesome, Yoan. I'm so happy to be casting this series with you. Obviously, the winner of this series puts himself in a fantastic position to potentially win the group. You keep everything in your own hands going into that final series, which is very important, but nothing is set in stone yet, unless Classic wins 2-0. Todd, if Classic wins 2-0, he's first, he's guaranteed top 8 in this tournament.
Yeah.
Other than that, it still comes down to, you know, whatever happens in the other series and what you do in your final series. But obviously, if you win here, you keep your fate in your own hands. So a very big deal for both these guys.
SOS had an interesting take on the series in saying that when he cares too much, when he tries a little too hard, it doesn't go really his way. So he just needed to go into this matchup with a state of mind of basically he's going to do what he can and not really overthink it. And then he thought he was going to be able to do well here up against a Classic. That's just looked incredible. Like the way Classic has been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if he made it all the way to the grand finals at this rate.
Well, you know, I love to talk about those Team Liquid power rankings, Yoan, and he was #1 in them. It's been a long time, I think, that somebody put Classic #1 at a Team Liquid power ranking. But all of them just wrote it. He's been looking mighty fine. You casted the Korean qualifier. He just destroyed everybody in that one.
So how often are those power rankings right, though?
They're often close, you know. Like I make my own ranking; it's a little more accurate. No, I'm kidding. No, I love reading those articles. It's always a lot of fun, and I think often they're close, but it's obviously hard to predict an entire tournament.
Yeah. SOS here on your screen, one of the previous champions here in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. That was the one where winner got to take it all, and that was $100,000 that he left Poland with. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind adding $150,000 to his bank account. He's already the highest earning player in StarCraft 2 with over $500,000. Definitely earned his wealth here in video games.
Yeah, the word that has been used a couple of times today was clutch. I mean, if you talk about being clutch, I think SOS is the absolute definition of being clutch in StarCraft 2. He definitely has his off tournaments, but often when the prize pool is the biggest, that's when he's suddenly there again, making another deep run. And you know, Yoan, I really hope that this series we're going to see some of the madness we've seen lately in the Korean Protoss vs. Protoss scene. We've seen a lot of very weird games with lots of weird Dark Templar openings, forcing awkward base trades, both of them playing Dark Templars. I hope we get to see some stuff like that.
And you know, SOS actually, I would say to his standard, he's had a disappointing ending to 2017. He didn't make the global finals. That was actually in the last tournament that he could have made it in. Rogue actually won that, took his spot, and then went on to win the whole thing. So for somebody that's earned as much money as he has, he could have scored a whole lot more had he made the global finals. I'm sure he wants to look to try and correct that here in 2018, starting at this very tournament with a big win, or at least another very deep run here.
Rogue, of course, one of the players we saw in action earlier today. He was featured in Group C. What did you think of his performance, Yoan? Finishing second, 4-1 overall?
That was pretty good. But you know what was better?
Zero.
Yes, Carrol's a monster right now. He's just crushing everybody that he meets. That round of 12 and then round of 8 tomorrow is just going to be ridiculous.
There is a potential for the same exact quarterfinals we had last year. Of course, Carrol also was able to win his group last year. Not as dominant as he was today. Last year he went 4-1. Eventually Dark was the one who defeating him in the quarterfinals, 3-0 back then. Dark used to never, ever lose against non-Koreans. That has been changed since the global finals of last year, where he finally dropped the series offline against eLaser. I'm excited, Yoan, but let's see who wins Group D first. Once again, the winner of this series has a very good chance to win it. Not set in stone yet, unless Classic wins 2-0. Seems like both players are just making sure all settings are correct, but Todd, I've got a feeling we're about to start real soon.
Yeah, PvP between these two is always so high level, so aggressive, you know, like any battle for information, a probe sneaking in basically could be a game-winning move. So a lot of the time, it's gonna be fireworks from the very starts, you know, Stargate units being used here and there. Nobody really sits back in PvP nowadays. Some of these players, they even like get like 2-3 more units than their opponents and they're already attacking, trying to finish the game, but here we are. Let's get started here with this Clash of the Titans. as two worlds will collide. Game number 1.
Kaelaris is so proud of you right now, Yoan. Classic versus SOS. Both of these guys are 3-0 in this round robin so far, as we have loaded into Neon Violet Square. And we're looking at the main base of the Korean Protoss. It is Classic. Did you see that sign?
Yeah. I'll see you guys in the club. And his opponent is also Korean, he's also Protoss. It is SOS.
13,000 kilometers, huh? I guess we gotta make those dreams come true, Todd.
He came from Australia or why? Which one is it?
Could be LA, maybe? I think LA is around 13,000.
Classic once again. He beat SOS for the very qualifier for this tournament with a 3-0 win in a winners bracket final. So he's definitely done pretty well against his Protoss counterpart, but SOS, here this is where it matters the most. It's usually where he will deliver his best builds. And honestly, like, we don't really see proxies anymore, right? So that's kind of out of the equation. Like, that's, you know, that finals against Hero, we all remember it from a couple years ago. Definitely going to be playing some very different games here nowadays in PvP. If some of you haven't been keeping up with StarCraft that much, it's all about that early wall-off. Not to let any adepts shade in. And then later on, a lot of the time, you'll see a Nexus starting, and then it's all about whether it's a Twilight or a Stargate that starts. Very rarely it's going to be a Robo.
Yeah, the only proxies you'll see is sometimes the Stargate, just because everybody is so clean on their timings. They know when to get the shield battery, know when they have the Stalkers in position. But obviously, if you're able to proxy a Stargate and get away with it, everything arrives a little bit faster. And sometimes your opponent is actually not ready to deal with it. And of course, sometimes you see the proxy pylon into some 3-gate aggression. Or in extreme cases, even the good old 4-gate. But the very early proxies, like Yoan mentioned, the first gate or the second gate being proxied, not very often.
How many Phoenix Wars are we going to see in this series?
We haven't seen too many this tournament, though.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit shocked, actually.
I think players are very reluctant. Like, it's all about whoever's more confident with Phoenixes. Usually, I think there is very few players. Like, you're one of them. Like, if you see somebody going Phoenix, you're like, okay, well, that guy is basically dead. But not too many pros at the highest level, because it feels like there's a little bit of, there can be a little bit of chance involved, obviously, you know, in which fight you take. It's just so hard to read, right? You can play definitely, I would say, a more skillful game when you're playing Blink against Blink than when you're playing Phoenixes against Phoenixes. And in this case, it's Classic going for the Stargates and SOS for the Twilight here, as they start the Nexus at the exact same time.
Do you feel like that's a Twilight of Blink or a Twilight of a Dark Shrine? I kind of feel
honestly, with SOS, it might as well be a Twilight for Glaive. Like, this guy's so unpredictable. But yeah, obviously Blink or Dark Shrine is...
He doesn't have a pylon there, though, so even if he wanted to build a Dark Shrine, he's just going to build it in his main.
That's the probe that will make the pylon close to Classic space with that Dark Shrine here. So you want to hide that super far away, because Protosses, they will scout this far. Look at this. Classic is looking for this.
Uh-oh, and it's a Phoenix opening, or was there an Oracle already out on the map for Classic? Is this... Oh, that's a Phoenix first against a good old Dark Shrine. Now, obviously, there is a good chance that Classic will scout with his first Phoenix, but if Classic is afraid of SOS playing with a Stargate as well, sometimes you want to wait until you have 2 Phoenixes before you move out. And if you do that, Todd, that Dark Shrine is suddenly awkwardly far in completing already.
And I think SOS is trying to purely outsmart Classic, who is known to play with Stargate a lot. SOS says, you know what, you play a lot with Stargate. If you were to go for Oracles or Phoenixes, I'm going to send you some DTs in your base, start killing a lot of probes, get ahead, and open up the scoreboard in our series. He's fully counting on this working, and it's going to be so hard for Classic to properly defend against this now.
Only now he scouts it. He spots the Dark Shrine, he drops a Robo immediately and fires up an Oracle. Can we take a look at the main base of Classic real quick? Because I just want to see if there is any sort of panic here. If he keeps units on the ramp, probably 1 sentry to buy some time, or you don't think he's even going to do that?
Yeah, I don't think he needs one. Observer, Oracle, sorry, should be there on time to use Revelation. If the DTs are split, though, it might get tricky.
Exactly. 1 Oracle is actually quite risky, but of course, SOS doesn't know what we know. There's going to be another Phoenix behind this. It's so risky what he's doing, though, because imagine if the Oracle does miss attack. Imagine if the Dark Templars go to town on like that 1 pylon that's powering both the Stargate and the Robo.
And SOS aborted, actually. He's like, you know what? He saw the Dark Shrine. He's going to be ready no matter what. That's such a cerebral play here out of SOS. in realizing that this just wasn't going to work. He would have needed to send 3 DTs in, and if they started, you know, getting tagged and picked up by the Phoenixes, that would have been really bad. So you just cannot. Well, it's not a big investment, a Dark Shrine, right? Like it's 150, 150. So you can just definitely just get that, not use it, make the opponent ideally overreact, and then later on maybe use it with a DT drop, or later on in the game after that, even as now SOS is gone a long way actually towards completing Blink.
A lot of damage on that one adapt, did not go down yet. Now the Phoenixes sweep in from the left side, so that means a couple of probes will go down very quickly. The Oracle is going to show up as well, but you don't want to lose your Oracle in this phase in the game. But it does get one probe there, and potentially maybe one more here in the natural.
Oh! Ooh, classic overstepping and SOS punishing. Losing 7 probes, but killing a good amount of units there. 3 adepts, the Oracle that mage one of the Phoenixes. And he's got Blink about to finish. This is almost encouraging for him to try to go and attack, but Classic already with the 3rd Nexus on the way. SOS will start his own. Blink is finished.
The Phoenix is doing some work, but there is a good chance the first Phoenix, well, takes a lot of damage. He's not going to go down just yet. I like how active Classic is with his Phoenixes, though. He waited a little bit early on just to get some more energy, but at least he wasted all the energy right now. He killed as many workers as he potentially could have with his Phoenix, and he got himself in a decent position. Now, I wanted, I asked my co-caster this earlier this week and thought, but what do you think about SOS taking the Pocket Expand while going up against the Phoenix build? Do you think that's necessary? Because I kind of feel that he can just take the regular Expand.
I mean, it's a bit more spread out, right? It's easier to defend against Phoenixes if he takes those 3, because then the one that's the pocket one is very hard to reach with Phoenixes and then escape.
But only 3 Phoenixes to worry about, and then basically limiting yourself, or make it 2 Phoenixes against you.
It's more like the threat of the Phoenixes on those main and natural base, with the threat on a ground attack on the potential 3rd base. I think that like you need to worry about, right? Because if Classic starts threatening towards the 3rd base, if SOS took it above his natural, with his ground army, SOS has to send everything there, and then the Phoenixes fly to his main base and start killing probes. So it just, I don't know, it makes his life easier, I feel, to take this expo. You don't have to rush it, like it's PvP. You want to stabilize on 3 bases, maybe go for the other one as a 4th.
I do agree that it's absolutely easier to defend the mineral lines, but I'm not sure if it makes his life easier overall, because he's down 11 workers at this point, and even if he catches up in workers, he can't really properly spread all his workers. Now he does throw up an insane amount of gateways, 6 gates at once. That almost gives me the idea that he just wants to take the gases and perhaps march across the map and go for an attack.
Yeah, I mean, from there you don't have to go for broke, right? SOS caught up on the worker count pretty well. I think both of them are likely to start a 4th base. Knowing SOS, it could even be for the gold one as a 4th. That'd be pretty cool to see something like that. He did make a ton of gateways, yeah, which usually indicates potential aggression, but also could mean he just wants to make sure he's super safe in case Classic does that, because Classic is not known for sitting at home and just macroing. He's known for knowing how to when to get aggressive, which like you need to watch out for definitely here.
SOS does take his 4th base now as well, as he starts up +2 immediately, but he also gets the Prism. Classic already has the Prism. It's pretty crazy to see Classic out here on the map, guys. While he was going up to 4 bases faster, he's gonna have +2 a lot faster. But there is no need for Classic to take a fight before +2 is done. But maybe he's just gonna get himself nice and close towards SOS, and then as soon as he has +2, that's when he's gonna force the fight immediately.
Yeah, and this could be very bad actually for SOS, because Classic is a whole lot closer to his additional base than SOS is, but Classic's taking his time. He's warping in units, wants to go for a very strong attack. Usually when somebody warps in like this, they were gonna fight no matter whether SOS is there or not. SOS sees the entire army of Classic. The base trade has been ignited, Roddy.
Yeah,
Is anybody you're gonna recall? I don't think so as of right now.
I don't think SOS wants to recall Todd, because the army of Classic is so much more powerful. Classic has way more Archons and already just got an Archon for free as well. So SOS is gonna try to make use of these Blink Stalkers. He's gonna at least kill these Zealots that are being wiped in defensively. But in a straight-up fight, Classic's army is so much stronger right now. So
I don't just recall. Classic might just kill this base and then recall on his 3rd base.
That's what I would do if I was Classic.
No, he's embracing the base trade. He has more damage.
I love how he's getting another Observer. He's like, I know you have a Dark Strike just in case.
Yeah.
I want to get the backup. 5 DTs. Look at the Observer that popped. Already got sniped immediately. Now Classic, how many Observers? Oh my goodness.
I think SOS saved some probes.
That is the only detection that Classic has at this point. He has 1 Observer.
Ooh, we could get into that crazy kind of game where the precious observer needs to be kept alive, otherwise the game would be lost here for Classic.
SOS is going to try to
Did he evacuate? Oh yeah, he's about to.
That's a very smart play.
He could take the gold base on the other side. Actually, he might not even have time for that. Those units are going to
he recalls!
He recalls!
Oh, but where's the observer? Okay, he does have cannons there. Okay, he saved one base. He realized that he could not possibly lose all of his mineral lines. Because with that only one observer, that's simply way too risky.
SOS is going to go for it. He thinks there is a good enough position here for him to engage into. He's hesitant.
I wouldn't do it.
Oh my god, he could stand on the high ground actually. That'd be so sick.
So SOS did lose all of his bases, but he has enough money to rebuild the Nexus. Well, Yoan, I said I hope we get a crazy PvP. I think it's pretty crazy right now.
I mean, what is this lockdown even? SOS a little bit hesitant. Does he actually want to fight? Garden Shield is popped. He has so many DTs.
All the Zealots are coming in now as well.
Classic is going for the sandwich. He's going to come in from behind with Zealots. SOS attacks even earlier than that, and the fight is going to be forced. Classic, I think, might have too much for SOS to handle. Comes in from behind with a big wraparound and the Zealots, and SOS just loses everything and the game just like that.
That was a fun game, Todd. That was a very fun game to start off with. I was a little bit worried there at first for Classic, as he only had a single observer, and I was afraid he was going to lose that Nexus in the left top side as well. But then at the very last moment, he did recall, and he still had some very static, or some static defenses there that provided detection, so his life was not in the hands of that single observer. And SOS realizing that his hand was kind of forced there.
Yeah.
If he would have gone, like, yes, he had enough money for a Nexus and he could have backed off, but that means that SOS is mining during all of that, and he is not. And then there is a good chance that SOS will force a fight when he has 2-3 extra Archons, and that's obviously going to make the difference.
Classic had a bigger army. I think he had more Immortals, so he had way more firepower. So the buildings of SOS were dying quicker. Kev,
Yeah, you know.
what are we going to do about this?
Can't let the people down, right?
Exactly.
We'll see.
Hashtag Roddy in the club, guys.
I think the real
Coming
party
back.
is over here, Todd, in the auditorium, because by the time that we're done here, it's going to be midnight anyway, so after these games, we get a little bit of
Fire
music
up the
going.
disco ball.
Exactly. No better party than a StarCraft party anyway.
For sure. All right, here we are. Game number 2 about to start.
Classic on match point. And once again, guys, I mentioned it in the start of the series. If Classic wins this series 2-0, he is guaranteed of first place in this group, which means he gets a direct seed into the quarterfinals, which obviously is a big deal because you want to avoid the round of 12, Todd.
Yes, here we are, guys, on Blackpink, starting at the bottom left-hand side of the map. Playing as the Root Photos, it is Classic.
And on the right top side, we're looking at the main base of our other Korean Protoss. Give it up for SOS.
A potential first place on the line here between these two. Whoever wins here, if they win their last match, they'll be first place no matter what. In this case, if Classic wins 2-0, it's pretty much guaranteed that first place, a pretty big deal. If you get that, you're already in the round of 8. Whereas if you don't, you have to play a round of 12 match against, I'm guessing, like if they finish second, against the third place finisher from another group. And there are some pretty tough names in those groups that finished in the third place.
That could potentially be Impact or Hurricane or even Maru, Todd.
Okay, finish first.
Yeah. And I mean, even if
Actually, it could only be one of these 3, right? Because they wouldn't play the guy from their group, so...
Yep, that's true. But I mean, they're not guaranteed yet. If you lose here, you're not guaranteed of second.
Yeah.
Now, something very, very weird has to happen for neither of these two to at least make it to the round of 12. But it is still possible, especially if SOS loses 0-2 here. Something weird could still happen in this group if he also loses his last series 0-2. But then we're going to get way ahead of ourselves, Todd. We're going to calculate too many matches. We're going to keep it simple. And simple is that the winner of this series has a very good chance to finish first.
Yeah.
And if Classic wins this series, he will absolutely finish first, if it's 2-0, that is.
Both players going for scouts. SOS in this case a little bit delayed with it, but going to be able to get right in there and see what's up. Everything looking standard here from both players so far, as we do have once again Stalker Sentry as the opener, as first 2 units, which is the exact same as we saw last game.
Kind of universally agreed upon to be the safest and now standard opening in PvP. Yeah, it's kind
exactly
of fun.
why you never do it.
It used to be double Adept, then everybody went double Stalker, and now everybody's in the Stalker Sentry mood, because most people feel they can safely expand and actually get a good scout up. Yeah, that's nice, getting
so
the probe.
sick.
Once again, Classic is going to open up with the Stargate, while SOS will once again go for the Dark Shrine. Now, I truly wonder, Todd, do you think if he would have proxied the Dark Shrine in that previous game, do you think he could have potentially done more with it?
I think Classic might have realized anyway, from seeing the low amount of Stalkers that and nothing potentially being made from the Twilight Council, that there was a Dark Shrine, but maybe.
Can always start a fake charge. It's cheap.
Yeah.
Tie up too many resources.
I guess there's one way we could find out. Travel back in time and tell him to proxy.
Well, this
Reason
time
from replay.
there's going to be another Dark Shrine, but of course, because Classic goes Stalker Sentry, he can potentially scout with his hallucinated Phoenix if he doesn't even use the real Phoenix to scout. But scouting with your real Phoenix is a little bit risky, because if it's Phoenix against Phoenix and you end up losing your first Phoenix, it's going to be a tough game, Todd.
Yeah. I mean, where do you see this going here this time around? Like, how would it ever go differently than it did the previous time? Because Hallucination goes across the map, sees the Dark Shrine, and then you react perfectly to the DTs.
This time he can warp in Dark Templars a lot closer. I mean, that's the potential. To be honest, I really felt that Classic handled it with, let's just say, a lot of confidence, you know, if I want to put it. This time he gets a much faster Robo. This game, the Robo is a lot faster.
Oh, he's going to try to snipe the Phoenix, I think. He has 3 Stalkers.
Yeah.
If he can deny the Scout, this looks like a blink opener, having 3 Stalkers. Let's see if he can deny that. Did he see it?
I don't think the Phoenix saw it, but the Adept...
He didn't see it!
Oh, he saw the Dark Shrine, right?
Did he?
Yeah, I think it's next to the pylon.
No, he didn't see it. Oh my god, Adepts get in. They're not seeing the Dark Shrine either. He's got... Does he have 1 force field? Oh, he shields it away. We still have an Oracle on the way for Classic, but I think the DTs are going to get in there very fast, and the Robo is not finished yet. Oh, he warps it in! Inside of the natural base of Classic.
If they stay next to each other, though, a single tag could be devastating. Now the Dark Templars show up. Like
the Oracle's not out yet.
It's very close.
He warps something in, but that could get sniped super fast.
Okay, that's
going to attack that.
One revelation. It's so important that Classic had a much faster Robo this game, Todd. If he would have dropped the Robo in the same time as he did last game, there you have Resonating Glaives, by the way.
Yeah.
You mentioned this before, as well as is a little crazy.
I think with the start that he's got here, getting ahead in Walkers, and I guess ideally he's going to want to catch Classic completely off guard. Classic still trying to make something happen with some Adepts, Shades. He's not going to cancel again. I'm a little bit surprised by this, because you can always, yeah, look at this. SOS pulls probes away, lands 1 perfect force field, and just like that, he lost 1 probe to just 2 Adepts. His counter-attack, I mean, his follow-up attack is going to be even better now because of this.
He has a very quick Prism as well. Do you think it's just a Prism to unload a couple of Adepts in the main base, or do you think he's potentially going to go all out?
I think he's going to send DTs in both bays, and he's going to send Adepts in both bays, and he's going to tell Classic, get the hell out of my game, let's go to a map 3.
It's hard to straight up win with Adepts though, right? Okay, he's getting a lot of kicks, so...
Is it though?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see how this works out.
Oh my god. Oh no!
That is not a good way for SOS to make this start. I mean, he could potentially save the Prism, but now it's already revealed, and that makes things a little bit harder.
It's such a massive tell that he wanted to get aggressive.
It would be important for...
he still has a pylon, technically. He could just warp in there and then go for an attack. Imagine he warped in like a lot of Adepts, started shading them all over the place, then Classic would have to recall those Phoenixes to really help with it.
The slow warp-ins, though, that's kind of... you don't really want to do that, because what if Classic is actually in the range of that pylon and you warp in 7 slow Adepts and they all die?
Yeah, that would be pretty bad. But I think, no, it didn't mean he should warp them in, right? He should warp them in outside, over there. To then go for the attack. Yeah, he's going across the map right now. Get some Archons maybe as well. Yep. Here we have one of them morphing. The Christmas load here. 6 Adepts warping in right now. Oh, this is so sick. Classic knows there is something coming. I mean, seeing the Warp Prism again was so huge. Does he have a probe in position to close the gates?
No.
Woohoo, the floodgates give.
He is getting cannons.
Oh, he does.
Cannons are going to help a little bit. He could potentially shade as well. Don't forget that Classic has his own Adepts. He could potentially wall off with his own shades. It seems like SOS is actually... I think this is going to be really hard. I think he might have to give up on this, Todd. It seems like Classic is so ready for this. Somehow the Prism survives, but you don't want to break that with Adepts. Adepts are not good against shield batteries and cannons.
Look at the Stalker on that's frozen right now. Ooh, still trying to get a Prism. Look, he's going to make him disappear. He's a magician. Boom. Dead. SOS, what do you do from there? He's trying to pretend that he's given up. So he pulled back a little bit. Oh my god, he still doesn't get it.
1 HP Prism.
SOS is pretending that he's given up with this. So he pulled back for a little bit, but he's regrouping with way more forces that he actually whopped in back at home. He's still going to go for it.
Yeah, he's getting one more Archon. It's definitely been revealed, and that's a lot of adepts. He could potentially try to go for the main base. No, he's just going to go for it, Todd. No, he's not going to go for it. But he kind of has to, though. He hasn't been building workers in forever. Oh, that's cute. He's going to try to activate the stasis and also pick up the Stalker. Wow. What a move by SOS.
Bad man.
But he's still
around a warp in.
The longer this goes on, the worse it gets for the adepts, though, I feel. That's a lot of adepts. A couple force fields go down as well. Will the adepts all make their way into the main base? No, they will not.
The gate was closed, so now the adepts are not going to be able to shade forward or even inside of the army. SOS bet everything that he had on getting to the high ground. The Warp Prism getting jumped on top of. That's going to get sniped as well. The gate's going to get closed again every single time. Classic on point with this. He's lost to this in the past on ladder. Many people try and go up that ramp, and believe me, we've all lost games to this.
Oh, the second prism, the backup prism shows up, and there is one more prism in the way, and that means a massive warping of adepts in the main base of Classic. And Classic clearly doesn't have the amount of units to deal with this right now, so he's going to lose a lot of probes and potentially a lot more. At the same time, SOS tries to break the front, but once again, adepts are not that great against cannons and immortals.
And SOS is still getting one more Warp Prism as another backup. He's going to keep on sending waves and waves of adepts forward up until the point he's either won or lost this game. Looks like Classic might be able to defend on the natural, loses one immortal, and SOS is just kind of running out of units at this point.
Yeah, I think that Classic has done it, Todd, because the Phoenixes can always shut down additional prisms. Classic is so confident, he's even firing a +2 attack and the charge right now as well. And SOS is finally coming to acceptance that perhaps his Adept Rush has been shut down. Damn, what a good read by Classic. He read everything so fast, did all the right things, and just didn't take that much damage.
Classic has never been given the credit that he deserved, I feel like. He's always been so incredibly good, and he's proving it here once again with a rock-solid series so far against SOS, just refusing to die, taking any damage. He handled the detection so well as well, because he left the Observer in the main base and made a cannon in the natural for DTs. Let's see, there is an Observer there.
Of course there is an Observer there, Todd, because it's Classic and he's on point with everything that he's doing so far. There is a little bit of Oracle arrest going down in the natural of SOS as well, which is going to force the hand of SOS even more. He has shaded behind the mineral line, but there is a stasis ward there, Todd. But a lot of the adepts are going down. Classic is just taking in commanding supply lead and an army advantage as well.
Yeah, and I think it might be about time here for Classic to start thinking about his own offense. He needs to be careful, though, for a potential counter-attack. There's still that one prism across the map. At this point, like, SOS just keeps on spamming War Prisms and Adepts.
Yeah, that's prism number 3, I believe, that he went for. He's going to drop another Dark Templar in the main. Not sure if the Observer is still here. Phoenix is going to show up. There is an Oracle. The Oracle actually doesn't have energy for detection. So this time at least a little bit of damage has been done. As well as using recall on the Dark Templar as well.
He knew that was going to die, both the Prism and DT, so he saved both after killing 3 probes. SOS still finding some damage somehow. How about even in Walkers, actually? 37 to 38.
Yeah, +2 attack against +0 though, and a bunch of Immortals against a no Immortal army. But Immortals, you know, they struggle in dealing with Adepts in certain fights, especially if there are Zealots in the mix as well. Like, Immortals are always powerful in almost every composition, but it comes down to the engagement a little bit. The units of Classic from SOS are not bad against Immortals. They're quite tanky.
Yeah, but Classic is way ahead in Archons. He's got 4 against 2. That's the big deal here.
And Archons are good against every single unit that SOS has.
Basically, PvP, the more Archons you can get, the better you're going to do a lot of the time.
Especially if you got way better upgrades than your opponent as well. SOS is so hyper-aggressive in this series.
I think he knows. It would be too hard to transition, so he just keeps on being aggressive and hopes that Classic will mess up, which so far just hasn't happened. Okay, he loses this one Archon, I guess, but Classic should have enough, and this might be a 2-0 victory here. If he can clean up this army, it's looking pretty good right now. SOS trying to reinforce with the Warp Prism.
Couple of Zealots coming in from the south side, getting right on top of these Immortals, but with the upgrade advantage that Classic has, I just don't see these Immortals falling, Todd. Most of the Archons have gone down, but SOS has lost pretty much everything. Obviously, he can't recall because he already used recall before. GG, and Classic will be the one to win Group D, no matter what happens in the final series of this group. He's going to advance to the quarterfinals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. He's looking good, Todd. He's looking really, really good.
Very strong performance here, I have to say. Solid throughout. Not many players can say that they've recently beat SOS with a 3-0 and then with a 2-0. Actually, it might only be Classic that can say that.
I'm pretty sure it's only Classic indeed. He looked really good. Love the way he handled all the weird stuff that SOS was throwing his way. A bunch of curveballs, lots of Dark Templar play, War Prison play, sort of adept pressures. But Classic was able to stand strong. We're gonna head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with an interview with Classic and Sue.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Standing here with Classic after he took down SOS with a clean 2-0. So, first of all, congratulations, Classic, with this win. You are through straight to the quarterfinals, and for a foreign event, it's actually been a while for you to move on to the round of 8. It's been about 2.5 years. So, how does that feel for you?
일단 축하드리고요. 이번 2대0 승을 통해서 이제 8강 진출이 확정됐는데 이제 해외 대회에서 8강 진출한 지 꽤 오래됐어요. 그래서 기분이 어떤지 얘기해 주세요.
네, 우선 8강에 직행하게 되어가지고 너무 좋고, 제가 이 IEM 카토비체를 굉장히 욕심내고 왔거든요. 이번에 꼭 우승을 하고 싶어가지고 우선 8강 갔으니까 잘 준비해서 꼭 우승할 수 있도록 하고 싶어요.
So he says, first of all, I am so happy that I have a direct road straight to the quarterfinals. Coming into this Katowice event, I had a lot of hopes. I really wanted to do well here. So now that I am in the round of 8, I want to do really, really well and become a champion if possible. And that's my goal for this event. And earlier, you have a lot of fans here. Earlier, when I spoke to SOS, he said that he considers you the best Protoss player at the moment. So he clearly has a lot of respect for you. Looking at the players that are left at this event, is there any player that you're particularly scared of or don't want to face?
아까 전에 김효준 선수와 인터뷰했을 때 김도우 선수가 가장 잘하는 토스 선수다 이렇게 얘기를 하셨는데 이제 남은 선수들 중에서 혹시 피하고 싶은 선수 있나요?
피하고 싶다기보다는 이제 C조의 세라이 선수를 봤는데 굉장히 잘하시더라고요. 그래서 그분 만나면 되게 힘든 승부가 될 것 같아요.
So he says, not necessarily anyone I don't want to face, but I did notice that in Group C, the person that won, Carrol, he seemed very, very good, and I was really impressed by what I saw. So I think that if I do end up facing him, it'll be a pretty tough match. But he did make sure to specify that he's not looking to avoid anyone, which shows that he's pretty confident. And last but not least, you're going to be facing Ryung. Do you think that you can advance with a clean 6-0 today?
이제 다음 만날 선수는 김동훈 선수인데 오늘 패 없이 진출할 수 있을 것 같으세요?
네, 지금 기세가 좋기 때문에 깔끔하게 5승 0패로 가서 이제 내일 8강 준비를 하고 싶어요. 네, 깔끔하게.
So he says, my momentum is so great right now, so I want to continue this momentum going and win with a clean 5-0 and move on and start preparing for my quarterfinal match. So congratulations again, Classic. Let's head back to the battle station with Kaelaris.
That's right, the bridge of the ship is right here, the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice World Championship, and the battle station is ready. Gentlemen, we do have Classic being very victorious. I'm just going to move that a little bit closer so nobody gets angry at me. There we go, nice and full-bodied voice there.
Much better.
That's right, thank you. So, looking at Classic, doing so well. Are we surprised at how well he's performed so far?
Not in the slightest. I actually mentioned just before that series started that Classic has been looking really in form.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he 5-0'd, to be honest. That momentum is a real thing, especially in StarCraft. And he just looks infallible.
Right.
He just looks incredible.
I mean, every single player that has gone through in first place has gone through with a 5-0 and a score of 10-2 in maps. At the moment, he's, I think, at like 4-0 or something with, I don't know exactly in terms of maps. There it is, 8-1. Ta-da!
Wow.
So if he actually goes through with this kind of momentum going along, he could actually even outdo everybody that has already performed so well.
Oh, he certainly could, and I also think it's worth noting that that game against SOS is a very good litmus test for how he can perform moving forward in this, because I had, like I said before, I had no idea. It's really hard to call with those two players, and Classic just killed it.
That's right, getting chemistry involved. I feel like I'm back in middle school. Thank you, Tasteless. Of course, we can check in as
Tasteless.
well.
Dr.
Tasteless.
PhD.
That's right. We can check in with the series that is very important to us right now because we need this to be able to advance on the show. Eleza versus Ryung at the moment at Maynarde. We're going to stay here and watch that play out.
Another desk cast, guys. You guys are so spoiled. We have Ryung in a very nice position here. If a Terran get their tank set up here, tasty, tasty Terran position and lots of Zerg tiers generally.
Wow.
A laser is across the map trying to do counter damage, but we can see that getting cleaned up. And Ryung, though, this is so good. You're in range of this hatchery, you're in range of this mineral line. These Hydras are doing damage to the Vikings, which is important because, you know, a laser has to rely very heavily on these Vipers for him to actually win this game. There's a Ducks on the Scary Thors, picking up a couple of these bad boys.
Oh, I picked it up! Oh, look, did you see that?
That was actually pretty cool.
He picked it up with the medevac!
He saved him.
Oh my god.
Can't save that one, though. Yeah, especially when you get mech over in this corner, because you can hit that left base and then the one just to the right of that, as well as the one that we're seeing right there. Strong closer. It's funny because right before we had started to go on with an attack had
Can we emphasize how fantastic that pickup with the medevac was?
Sure.
That was so sick.
You haven't seen StarCraft in a while, have you?
I mean, come on.
The Thor drop with the medevac thing is it's in the meta, but yeah, you're right. It was
when he
of course,
saved it from the
I
hard
know
play, that
it's
was cool.
in the meta, thank you. But him dragging it away and then boosting the medevac to go and pick it up and bring it
You're
back.
right. You're right.
You haven't watched StarCraft much, have you? It happens every single game.
You know what?
You're being a wet blanket,
I
Maynard.
am being a very soggy wet blanket right now.
That's right.
That's right.
I'll throw my
You know what,
paper at
Kaelaris? You're right. I'm wrong. I stand corrected. That was a pretty sick maneuver there from Ryung. And he does end up 2-0 there against the laser, so...
That moves us on quite nicely,
It
to
does.
be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's short, sharp, and shiny, isn't it?
It is. What he said. All right. So that pretty much makes sure that we are going to have a laser going up against Trap. Don't know what you just said then. In the mysterious voices in my head. That was an interesting one. But I think that we're probably going to go to a break here for the Intel Extreme Masters. It's getting late into the night.
He's lost his mind.
The voices are back. They're back. We're going to go to that break. We've got one more set of series here for the Intel Extreme Masters. Don't go anywhere.
All eyes are on